So Milk, here we are outside of a temple, and today we're going to be talking about the so-called masculinity crisis in China.
Ironically, we're at a pink temple. Definitely not a temple of masculinity. Now, there is a masculinity crisis, but that is not my opinion. That is the opinion of Chinese officials currently.
Yes.
So again, don't judge us for the topic. We're just going to delve into kind of the issues that people here in China are actually talking about, and I think we should actually just get off all of this exploded firecracker sea.
Absolutely. I think let's hit the road. Let's talk about this because it's actually been in the international news.
It's huge.
Yeah, right. Let's do it.
I have a pink backpack.
So Milk, the Chinese idea of a masculine man is actually quite different to in the West. I mean, you know, first of all, Chinese people genetically aren't as muscular, Chinese men.
Yeah.
They just aren't as muscular. They also don't grow beards. You know, some of them do, but, you know, the majority of them don't. And they've got very different ideas of what, like, being a cool young man is compared to the West, right?
Agreed.
So maybe you can go through, or we could both discuss some of the different kind of styles that young men and men in general have here in China.
Well, the first thing that I'd like to clarify, actually, is the difference between masculinity and chauvinism. And we're going to get into more of that later, but in China, a man is not expected to work out, get big, look like a real dude, you know, carry his kids and eat one in each arm, take care of the household, be a good fatherly role model at home, play sports with the kids. All of the and I'm not saying that's the definition of masculinity. I'm saying it's just different here in China.
Yeah, it's kind of the Western idea of what a man should be, you know, like a lumberjack.
Yeah, like a lumberjack that takes care of his kids, and he's a good dad, and he teaches his kids how to throw the pigskin.
And wrestles bears in the backyard.
He wrestles bears, and then teaches his kids how to do the same thing, builds tree forts. Yeah. That does not happen here in China. Now the difference is that a masculine Chinese man spends as little time with his family as possible. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
It is perfectly acceptable for him to grow fat, especially around the belly area.
Yeah.
He should smoke.
Yes.
He should absolutely smoke cigarettes. If he doesn't smoke, he might be called a good man, but he's not a manly man.
Sure.
A manly man here carries a man bag, usually full of cash. I'm not joking.
Yeah, I know.
That's just what they do.
Yeah.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but you'll see a fat, portly man with a flat top haircut, a cigarette dangling out of his mouth, a gaudy gold watch. That's manly.
Oh yeah, don't forget the keys that are like
the keys on the outside.
Yeah.
You gotta have the keys on the outside of the belt. If you don't have that, you're not a man.
Sure.
And also, if you want the final piece, put a Bluetooth earpiece in your ear. You're gonna get all the ladies.
Well, yeah, you are exaggerating in some areas, of course.
I am. This is a stereotypical image of a man, right? Now, the way I want to sum this up.
Hey, you did miss one very important thing, and that is you must drink a lot of baijiu.
You gotta drink a lot.
Yeah.
You gotta be better than your friends at drinking, then you're a man.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Now, to sum this all up, of course these are, extreme stereotypes. You will see this in China for sure.
Yeah.
But to sum it all up, what I'm trying to say is that a manly man here does not fit our perspective of a manly man in the West.
Yeah.
And it's weird to think about this, but I think that we can call that a chauvinist man. A man that lives his own life. He has to make money for the family, but he lives his own separate life. And he's more powerful than his wife for sure.
Yeah, that's how it is here, yeah.
Right.
Well, let's get into this whole masculinity crisis, okay? Now, there is an issue, and there's a big problem in China with the younger children these days. And that is, it's partly due to the one-child policy, but it's also traditionally, boys have always been favored over girls in China, you know.
Yeah.
And what happens is, when a young boy is born into a family, he is treated like a king.
Right.
By especially the grandparents, the parents as well, but they are so coddled. They get every single thing they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're never left wanting for anything, and they're praised just because they're a boy. They're not praised because of their own merits. They're like, oh, he's a boy, so he's awesome.
Right.
So you get some pretty kind of nasty characters coming out of this whole situation. Just, if you grow up like that, you're not going to turn out to be a stellar person. Let's put it that way.
No.
But anyway, the problem is they're so coddled by their grandmothers and whatnot that they don't grow any kind of balls. You know what I mean?
Okay, fair enough.
If I could say it that way,
They
just don't become men, because it's their grandmothers walking after them, wiping their noses and feeding them, you know, spoon feeding them, and even until they're teenagers, you know.
Right.
They don't become men. They don't learn to be self-sufficient and you know, like strong, because everything's always given to them. And there's another thing that comes out of all this, is because the culture is so focused on having a boy being such a good thing, and families basically start to organize from a young age. Like, they start to organize, oh, we're gonna have to get him a wife, so they start to actually arrange marriages.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, it's not like an arranged marriage that you think of when you think of like indentured slaves or something. It's just like powerful families with money will speak to other families and be kind of like, hey, you know,
We think it's a good idea.
yeah, your daughter is like good enough for our son, let's make a plan. So what I'm trying to get at here is, there isn't any real pressure on the men in China to actually go out and woo and court women, right? They don't have to, because the women are going to be handed to them basically, or arranged and put in front of them. You know, they'll be set up on dates, they'll be set up with, you know, other families and stuff. So that's a huge part, I think, of the Western masculine culture, is we have to prove, you know, we have to prove that we're men in order to get women. We have to look good, we have to go out to the gym, you know, we have to look after our appearance more, that kind of thing, in order to get a woman. Whereas most Chinese men, that's not a huge priority in their life. You know, the women will just kind of come, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Money is king, really.
Yeah, maybe you can elaborate more.
Well, actually, I thought it was kind of funny that men's peeing. Actually, I found it funny that you said that arranged marriages kind of still exist.
Yeah.
And I think people, you know, don't be confused. It is not like, oh, the dynasty era China. Or like, But powerful families, in order to stay rich and powerful, absolutely still follow this tradition. And my own wife, was put into an arranged marriage situation. And it was a rich northern boy, and his family was friends with Vivi's family.
Yeah.
And Vivi's mom was absolutely infuriated when they did the big family dinner. Yes. And he was all dressed to the nines and ready to, you know, meet Vivi.
Yeah.
And Vivi finds out that she's being put in this situation where they're like, we think you guys should be together, right?
Yeah.
She walked out. She was like, get the hell out of here.
Right.
And she married me instead. And it's still funny because I still have to see this guy, and I feel bad for him because he really liked her and stuff. But again, you're right. Like, he didn't have to, if she said yes, he didn't have to do anything in his entire life to warrant that, right?
Sure.
So again, he just walked into another one of those kind of arranged marriage situations too. Now the funny thing is that I wanted to clarify on some of the articles. So you said this was in worldwide media, right?
Yes.
I wanted to clarify some of these articles because it's both being demonized and praised, this initiative. And the initiative is that the government is saying, we need to stop this culture of coddling so that our men don't turn into prissy boys.
Yes, don't forget that they're also concerned that all the sort of Korean pop and Japanese pop...
I wanted you to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's put it together. So let's explain this crisis. So you've got these coddle boys, etc., right?
Right.
And you also have this fashion of young men when they reach their sort of late teens and their 20s and so on. They follow these sort of traditions of very androgynous, feminine kind of styles from Korean and Japanese pop.
Right.
So you have these very effeminate boys. In fact, you know, I interviewed a gay guy a while ago. Yeah, a lot of Chinese guys look very feminine.
They look very feminine. When I came here, I thought, wow, everyone's gay. I thought, wow, this is great.
You're not the only one.
I thought, wow, everyone's gay. It's so open here. But then I realized that, no, that's just the acceptable mannerisms and behavior.
Yeah.
On my channel. And he said when he got to China, he thought everyone was gay, and he was like really happy, and then he found out that they're not actually gay. They look gay, right? So there's a lot of effeminate looking men, and not in these rural areas, although you do get those hairdresser kind of like blue tight pants slipper guys. But anyway, whatever, I digress. So what's happened is the Chinese government has kind of approved this textbook to be released in schools.
Yeah.
Supposedly called Little Men. And it's something to teach young boys kind of like the difference between men and women, and like to try to basically make them take on a more masculine role, and that's what's made it into the foreign press.
Yeah, because the idea is that the Chinese government says in these articles that they are worried about a masculinity crisis that the West is already currently facing. And they said that we will not suffer such a fate, right?
Type thing, yeah.
And this is where the contention point comes, I think, because there's a huge tradition right now of, what's really popular is this progressive media that's like, we're not transphobic, we're totally aware that people can be whoever they want, and then there's a pushback culture, and they say that's like the regressive left, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Both of these sides have different opinions on this very issue.
Yeah.
The PC side, the liberal side, is saying, hey, China, F off, like you are going backwards in time here. The West is maturing to a point where we don't have to worry about people's sexual orientation or what they want to be.
Yeah.
Anyone can be who they are. In China, you're being a douchebag and you're trying to tell people to fit in certain roles. Like, don't box me in, bro.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the other side, that type of opinion is kind of praising China, and they're saying, well, this is awesome, because men are men, women are women. Let's not let this PC culture get in the way of how we define ourselves. It should be traditional male and female roles.
Yeah.
Bravo to China for actually having the balls to be able to say this kind of stuff, right?
Sure.
Now, I think that one of the reasons we wanted to make this video was to kind of say that both sides are wrong in this respect.
Totally wrong, yeah.
And why don't you tell us why these opinions are kind of misguided, because they're not in China, so they're not going to understand.
Yes, they don't understand. Oh man, okay. First of all, Chinese men have never really been very masculine as far as a Western idea of masculinity is concerned, right? It's just never been that way. They always have been, just agricultural, and yes, to have a boy has always been good because that means you've got someone to work in the farm, someone to provide for the family, someone to, go ahead and have children and continue your family line, etc.
I don't think that China's ever been in a situation that was okay with being, with gays and transgender people and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's not changing. It's always been completely. Oh, we're just passing a Guangdong.
Cool.
It's always been completely kind of how to say. It's been completely intolerant to those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you ask most Chinese people, at least the ones that I know, and you say, what do you think of gay people? They'll be like, it's kind of gross,
Yeah.
What do you think of transgender people? Oh, that's weird. You know what I mean? It's always been like this. It's not changing to be any worse. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think, to sum it up, it's like to have these opinions about these big reforms in China, as a Westerner that's never been to China, it's easy to be misguided.
Yes, China's its own little entity over here.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be interesting to see. But China is facing a very unique and challenging situation because, like you've just talked about, how people don't really accept people that are gay or trans or anything like that. That's because they're still based in a very traditional sort of family structure.
Reproduction, that's why you get married.
Totally. And, people are the previous generation are incredibly traditional.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely, they are. Like, all of them are. And that's something a lot of foreigners will know. If they try to have a Chinese girlfriend, it's difficult to meet the parents because first of all, your girlfriend will be ashamed to introduce you a lot of the time, or worried, that her parents won't accept you.
Yeah.
So there's all that tradition going on, but at the same time, you've got this new generation that have grown up in a completely different circumstances as their parents, right?
Yes.
And now they're spoiled, and they've never really understood what real hardship or anything like that is.
Right.
So it's a really, really weird kind of situation. So you got all these young, as the government likes to call them, Nancy boys, running around with their fancy hair and, feminine clothing and stuff. And those young men just haven't had the opportunity to find themselves yet and understand what life is really like, because they haven't really hit the workforce yet. They haven't really had to have families and anything like that yet. So we're in a place now where we don't really know what the outcome's going to be.
Sure. My personal opinion is the government has no place to say any of this kind of stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you want to dress like a flower boy, then go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is just a touchy subject, Simil. I don't care what we say. We're going to have people in the comments like hating on us for either being regressive, progressive. I mean, I don't really know where my alignments are, and I like to keep
Neither do
politics
I.
out of my videos.
Right.
But all I know is that when something pisses me off, it pisses me off, and when something doesn't, it doesn't.
There
And
you go.
this particular thing doesn't piss me off in the least. I think it's quite comical, to be honest. Like, I'm sitting back here and I'm having a bit of a laugh.
Me too.
And I do have a laugh at the Chinese men's style, because I do really think it's quite funny. And
It can be very funny.
when I came to China, I really I did have a laugh, because I did at first think that everybody was quite gay, and then I realized it's just the way they are, and you gotta
Right.
accept.
I totally get it.
Different
Totally get it.
fashions for different peeps, you know.
Right. Well, I see a really good stopping point up here at this really dystopian looking gas station.
Absolutely.
You see that?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, I think it's modeled after a Chinese temple or something, because if you look at the roof, it's
Right.
got those little upturns. However, it's made out of corrugated iron, and it's rusty and it's gross. Let's get a closer look and then we'll sign off.
That literally looks like if the Soviet Union mixed with China.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? All right, let's see. Can we pull in there?
All right, beautiful.
Let's see. Yeah,
Look at
let's-
that. That's beauty. Architectural beauty.
Yeah. Kind of makes me feel like sad.
I know.
Depressed.
I actually feel upset.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's go take a look. Yeah.
Let's
So,
have a look,
anything,
yeah.
anything you'd like to say? Oh, it's closed.
Oh man.
Anyway, anything you'd like to say to our subscribers before we sign off?
Well, whether you like to dress in the fashion of a Chinese man and have a Bluetooth earpiece in a man bag, or a Chinese, young boy
young man, yeah.
and wear blue tight pants and
Pastel
flip-flops and dye your hair green and pink,
Yeah.
I don't really care. I just want you guys to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, and whatever your choice is, whether you are a regressive lefty or you are a staunch righty, it doesn't matter to us, because we love you all the same. We don't take sides here on ADVChina.
Nope.
You know, we just want to say that, and this is absolutely like, this is from the heart. When I did my trip across America, the subscribers I met people on the far left, I met people on the far right, I met people in between, and you know, quite honestly, every single person I met was an absolutely amazing person, and that's why I love to keep politics out of everything, because as soon as you bring it up, you make enemies.
Yeah.
You know, and then like if I took a hard line on either one of these sides and I said I'm a this or I'm a that, half the people I met would have hated me and I would have hated them, you know.
There's no reason to do that.
Yeah.
You know.
So
Don't
guys,
cause rifts.
yeah, don't cause rifts, guys. Stop your damn Facebook posts full of politics. I'm tired
I know,
of it.
right?
I'm freaking
Just
tired of
piss
it.
off.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. Guys, we love you. Have a fantastic time, whatever you're doing, and stay awesome.